Because there was a interruption caused by a noise coming from my neighbors, so I just really wanted to record it again because I just really want to send this message to anyone who can evaluate this interpretive skills. That's really it. I'm not lying. I already actually had a almost like near perfect version for my first trial, but I just really want to try it again because there was an insertion of noises that truly um dilated the quality of the video recording. Coronavirus. The both wants to be protected by the law throughout the duration of the public health emergency. The Senate has adopted Monday against the government's opinion, a legal amendment excluding and exempting the responsibility solely taken by employers in the case of the infection of a worker by the COVID-19. The bosses are worried about falling prey to possible regulations imposed on them by the law, even if they think that they are very much required to protect their workers against the COVID-19. Think about it. If the COVID-19 truly breaks out to affect, their workers at the workplace operated by employers, then employers are really vulnerable. They would actually be caught in the litigations because of their irresponsible or reckless mismanagement of the workplaces, right? Even though they morally believe that they should actually be the one who in the forefront of the workplace to protect their workers with the best security measures. However, they still really need a legal exemption, which could erase them from the liabilities that could incur blame on them. So, in substance, this message, which already got delivered to Muriel Pennicott, the Labor Department's minister, which was co-signed by 6 of the most important employers' organizations, including the MEDEF and the Confederation of the Small and Medium-Sized Companies and the Union of the Enterprise of the Proximity, U2P, truly stated this message by pivoting the vulnerabilities undertaken by the employers. Otherwise, the labor market would be too strict and too unprotected by the legal restrictions in the case of the coronavirus breakout. These are somewhat aggressive and an advocacy group truly targets to obtain the legislative change in order to put an end to judicial insecurity, which weighs heavily on the leaders and the heads of the companies. Concerning the authors of this letter, technically the statement issued on 30th April, the text should be well adapted to the actual situation noticeably concerning the pandemic risk. Despite all the consideration for the imminent crisis, there should be no intention to have their workers maltreated. But the companies should be exempted from responsibilities by being a sole culprit of the disease breakout because the companies do not have control over the origins and the sources of the coronavirus. So these legislative clauses should be well adapted to include many different lines that would give a sufficient shock observers to minimize any type of cumbersome burdens undertaken by employers because what, they have no intention of mistreating or maltreating their workers and neglecting the safety of their workers. Meanwhile, they have no control or grip over the origin of the coronavirus. That's what has been said. The concern or the worry expressed by the head of the company does not date from yesterday. In this case, Le Patronat truly represents the entirety of the nation's corporate leaders and executives. Don't get that wrong. The concern expressed by the executives of the companies does not date from yesterday. This sends off its own message to be incorporated into the part of regulation overviewing the public health and the security at workplace by issuing the law and exercising and exerting the jurisprudence. So this type of voice has been there to influence the jurisprudence and exercise of law concerning the public health and the security at work. The employers have been subject to an obligation of a much reinforced and fortified medium and instruments, which you could definitely see the significance that would not be considered responsible by pushing the liability solely to employers if they demonstrate enough concerns by taking preliminary measures necessary to secure the security and the safety of workers, if they have already demonstrated their own commitment to protecting the physical health and the mental sanity of the personnel with a proper understanding and fidelity. Pascal Loic explains now, the professor of the study of law at Sorbonne. He is a legal professor at Sorbonne who's been teaching in law school. That's really neat. If you ever actually want me to, since this is a legally related issue, so I have to be very cautious. I don't really need to think about it. As long I'm not lying. The employers have been subjugated. That means that they're actually was subject to an obligation of a reinforced and a strengthened measures, which you would actually say and testify that they would not be considered responsible for any corona outbreaks if they already demonstrate that they have taken preliminary measures necessitated to secure and assure the safety of workers as well as to protect the physical and the mental health of the personnel in a timely manner ahead of the breakout, then there should be an exemption of liability solely taken by the employers, so simply having those workers at work in operation, period. Pascal Loic explains, professor of legal studies and of law at Sorbonne. A what? I can't read a French, excuse me.